Hello, hello,
What's going
hello.
on?
Is everyone
Made
okay
it
this evening?
just barely. This
Hi.
computer, this computer barely made the stream. Just about got destroyed
Yeah,
and
man.
used for skeet shooting.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what you buy at the moment, computer wise. Everything's just shit. Nothing's built like it used to be. It's really weird. Um, but first and foremost, the song using that intro, lovely put together by Brad, was from a London-based band called Meansteed. If you need to know anything else, you want to check those guys out. I'll leave some information a bit later on after we've done here. But Meansteed are a really good band, more traditional sort of heavy rock band, sort of 80s inspired. And that one, I've got Two Good Fists of the Death Wish was the first single that they put out. So big shout out to them guys. And then tonight we've got us, we've got me, Tony, we've got Brad, 4K Tent Revival, we've got Sasha, Sexy Monkey. We are going to be looking at some more obscure end of the spectrum when it comes to Arrow video releases. We all know what Arrow pump out, you know what I mean? They're for the most part, they're probably the biggest hitters within the kind of stuff that we collecting. But there has been titles like we were discussing before backstage that have come in under the radar over the years. They're a little bit more on the obscure side. They're not as well known, maybe not as well liked, or maybe people just haven't heard of them at all. I thought it would be quite fun to have a look at some stuff like that for a change, instead of just looking at mainstream stuff or titles that people know about. I thought it'd be quite fun to throw some recommendations out there of shit that people might not have seen, or some stuff that people might want to be on the fence about, they've thought about picking up. And we may be able to tip them over a little bit and go, listen, you know what I mean? This is a good film. Go check it out.
Yeah, Tony, you might want to turn your volume up a little bit. Maybe it's just me, but
Maybe low. Bear with
a
me a
little
second.
low. I'm going to start going through the chat here.
Yeah, doing that.
But
I can hear you just fine.
maybe it's my shit.
That any better?
It's a little bit.
That is up to the maximum. That
Chat in the chat. Let us know. Let's see here. But yeah, the Arrow video stuff. Every year that goes by, I'm a bigger fan. I love their back catalog stuff. There's a lot of great releases I think a lot of people missed. So I really like this idea that Tony came up with. And any chance to get them, cheap, I grab them. A lot of blind buys, stuff like that. And I'm pretty interested in the stream. Alan was interested in the stream too, but he's helping his son with his new house right now. Sean is supposed to be here. He may get here. He's having some, he's family issues, so he's taking care of that. So, it is what it is.
Which comes first? Which naturally comes first.
And this is a perfect stream for Sasha. I know he's going to pull some very, very different titles from Anthony too, Tony too. I know he's going to pull some kind of intergalactic nonsense that I've never heard of, but it's kind of a good mix, I think. But let's go to the chat and see who's there. But yeah, we were late. I was trying to mess with that intro, and Tony was having some problems with his thing. We're trying to wait on Sean. It was just a whole deal. And of course, the chat wants to act up. Crusher, what's going on?
Hello, Crusher. How's it going, man? You'll be okay.
Another Brit. Chris, what's happening, man?
Hello, Chris.
Holland, what's happening? What's going on?
Holland.
Sculder. Sasha, you and Sculder know each other, don't you? You go way back.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, years.
I can't really say we've had any in-depth conversations, but I know who Sculder is.
I know one knows who Sculder is. Okay, he's a Bond villain over there, and whatever Moldavia or where the fuck he's from.
Estonia? Is he Estonian?
Whatever.
Lithuanian? Something like that.
It's all the same. It's all the same. All that shit over there. It's all the same place to me.
Anything outside of the States.
Anything outside of this state. Everybody's saying hey to each other. Cool, man. Dean Ball.
Hello, Dean. That is my brother.
Oh, cool, man. Sorry to hear that. Sorry for you. I'm sorry for your loss, Dean. Rob's visiting.
Hey, Rob. How's it going, dude? You all right?
I saw Tony on that stream the other day. Yep. Not here.
Where the white women at? My mom just told me she watched Blazing Saddles a few days ago and loved it.
Is it the unedited version? They've edited it now. Yeah, they've changed it.
Yeah.
No, she would have watched it on DVD.
So she had the. Yeah.
I suppose so. Anyway,
I heard they edited Gone with the Wind recently too. They changed that. A lot of that's going on lately in our country. My country's doing it, which that is you generally don't do that, but.
Yeah, you know, shit's fucks when America's doing it. You know
when we're acting like you, there's a problem.
like Bob Dylan said, the times they are changing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For the worse.
Non-praying mantis, what's going on, Steve?
Hello, dude.
What's up, fellas? Heading into work. Want to pop and say, oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, hopefully we have something good here.
Yeah.
Let's go over some obscure picks that are OC.
Orange County.
Maybe he meant OP.
Original classics.
OP out of print. Obscure for a reason. I don't know about that, man. There's some really good. I don't think people know the full. I mean, it's a UK company, obviously, but I don't think people know the full length of their back catalog. Yeah. I don't know how many releases it was, but I know Alan does because he put a spreadsheet together. He wanted to collect every Arrow title, and it was a shitload of Arrow releases. I mean, like Criterion, like level, like that amount. So, yeah, it's not. It would be pretty hard to do, I think, to do them all. But yeah, there's definitely some obscure stuff.
Yeah, and it's like I said before, it's not. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be the film that's an obscure film, but an obscure release that came from Arrow. Because, like I said before, there were so many titles in the early days of Blu-ray that came under the radar that they didn't scream from the rooftops that they were releasing it. Unlike the bigger titles, a lot of the smaller titles, a lot of the more unknown titles, just flew by and people didn't see it. People forgot about it. People like me probably picked it up. Though those are the kind of titles that normally I'm looking for because of the VHS days, and a lot of the obscure, more weird stuff would have been VHS titles that I would have known, would have rented, or would have owned. That when they got put out onto Arrow Video, I gravitated to. I definitely went for. Don't get me wrong, I own some big titles. You know what I mean? I own a lot of the big titles, but a lot of the VHS titles, straight to video stuff that Arrow picked up from the 80s, early 90s, I find brilliant. You know what I mean? And all five that I picked, the transfers are fantastic on them. You know what I mean? Considering these are titles that they knew probably weren't going to sell that well or wouldn't have a big public interest, they still went to town on them. You know what I mean? They still went to town on the transfer. They still went to town on the extras and the special features. You know what I mean? And it's nice for a particular film like that, to get the love like a big sort of Dawn of the Dead or whatever got. You know what I mean? It's good that they give it that attention. So it's not necessarily an obscure film. I mean, a couple of mine are obscure films, but it's a sort of an obscure release that would have flown under the radar. Just little recommendations that people may not know Arrow released this particular title that I thought we'd show around. And I thought, if you put something like this to people, the chances of people picking the same 5 films will probably be very rare. If you ask people to pick out the favourite, the chances are the majority will pick out the same title. But the more obscure, weird stuff, I thought, well, people pick 5. The chances are we're going to see 15 different titles. You know what I mean? 20 different titles. So I thought that's where we'll start. That's what we'd have a look at and see what sprung up. And if it gives people some recommendations for stuff to have a look at, or even a quick look on YouTube at, or a trailer for, because if they've never come across it before, then, you know what I mean? It sort of hit the stream, sort of hit the mark, really. So
yeah, right on. Yeah. I'm going to message you to some titles to pull for Sean. He doesn't have his titles there, but I'll send it to you. I think I can. I'll just message you.
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing that up, because I was not understanding the whole obscure thing. If they're underrated, if they're popular, that means they're not underrated. I was thinking. Now I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that, bro. Boo, reset, mate. If I disappear at the stream, it's because I am streaming off my phone again. So bear with me a second, because I've just seen that message come in.
There's 3 there. I think I have the other 2. Oh, I got it. Here's Sean now.
Was it there? It just goes, I have one of those. I got that.
Oh, my goodness. Here's Sean now.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey. Oh, we got feedback there, Brad.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hello.
Here.
Oh, breaking loose.
Everything's echoing right now.
What's going on? Jesus. You see what we're dealing with here?
All right, I'm gonna jump out and come back.
It wouldn't be a proper live stream if there weren't technical glitches.
Oh yeah.
It would be live stream. It wouldn't be a stream yard if there weren't fucking difficulties.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
You want to go first, Tony? Let's catch up with the chat. Let's catch up with the chat, and then we'll.
I'll go first, then we'll go round.
So this is Scalder. Wait, okay. I'm definitely pulling one that you're gonna have a problem with. I'm gonna mention it at least. Scalder have a lot of. I'm definitely pulling one that you're gonna have a problem with. I'm gonna mention it at least. You're gonna have to shut the stream off. I'm gonna hang it. Because the stream is playing through your phone, John.
Yeah, I know. Everything's echoing, man. I don't think this is gonna work.
That's fine, man. If you can make it work, sure, we'll do it. You know, but
I don't think this is gonna work. Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know. It's every time I try to do a stream outside of the house, it doesn't work out.
Next time.
I'll be down in the.
I wonder if he had YouTube open. Just
I don't know. It's just you know how it is. You're away from your setup. He's got everything's running at once. He's trying to take care of his mother. All kinds of issues. Scalder, I have a lot of Arrow, but I have no need to own them all from Arrow Video. Okay. He already has most of the Arrow titles. To be fair,
I mean, Arrow Academy stuff does nothing for me neither. You know what I mean? I ain't a Criterion guy. Arrow Academy is very like Criterion releases. I just don't care.
Here we go.
It's not. It's
Two of my titles are Arrow Academy.
Yeah.
All 5 are Sasha's or Arrow Academy. I have one Arrow Academy in mind.
I didn't know there was a distinction between Arrow Video and Arrow Academy. This is news to me.
Well, yeah, they're all together. It's all together. Arrow Video, Arrow Academy. It's all to me. It's all together. I do like some Arrow Academy releases. I have several, but the thing is, probably of the 20 Arrow Academy I have, I've probably only seen about 8 of them. So it's kind of like the lower end of the pile for me to get to later. They are kind of like the art house side of Arrow Video, but I like that they have that line. They have some interesting films in there, and obviously I bought them. So I
don't think. I mean, the original Robin Hood Prince of Thieves on Blu-ray that Arrow put out came out on Arrow Academy, and then it got a re-release years later with more stuff on Arrow Video.
Oh, I thought that was Warner Brothers and then Arrow.
If you look
Rob, no
back at
Sean.
Arrow Academy.
What's up, Reed?
Hello, Spicy Man.
We're gonna take it over to Tony and see his first one here.
So okay, the first one. There was a massive point of time, sort of mid coming into the late 80s, and early 80s as well, as where there was a massive phase of large epic war films, and some of them I liked, some just passed me by and I didn't really care about. But then you also, at the back of that, sort of had like a big movement in vigilante films, and sort of films that were like Death Wish-esque. You know what I mean? There was a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And this first film I'm going to show you, it's a British film that was filmed in South Africa. To be honest, at the time it was a who's who of British acting. Now, as a kid, I loved this film, and I don't know why, because it's not aimed at kids in any way, shape, or form. It's quite full on in the way it is. But I remember watching it around at a friend's house, and we watched loads of sort of like those 80s Nam films, but the really crap ones, films like Bat 21 and stuff like that. And for some reason, he rented this one from the video shop, and we put it in, and I really enjoyed it. And it's always stuck with me. And when it was on British TV, I always watched it, and I owned a copy on VHS. And then when Arrow put this out, I had to grab it. But it was one of those that doesn't really fit in Arrow's sort of like categories anywhere. But it's a film that I like, and it's Wild Geese. Richard Burton, Roger Moore, Richard Harris. The cast is pretty much endless when you look at it. All the bit part actors that are in it. There's loads of sort of the who's who of British TV and screen and board acting within the UK. Film sort of sets itself up, sort of a band of renegades that's put together by Richard Burton to go and free an elected prime minister or president, I can't remember which one he is, from an African nation that's being overthrown by a guerrilla movement. And these guys are brought in because no one nation wants to get involved, because it's a particular political nightmare. No one wants to get involved in any way, shape, or form with it. So I think throughout the United Nations, they start putting the feelers out to try and put this sort of task force together. And Richard Burton's the man to do it, and he starts hunting all these guys down to try and put this team together. And he looks for a certain set of guys first. So the start of the story shows him going looking for these certain people, and before he finds these certain people, a little sort of like 5-minute snippet of film happens to sort of set that character within the world. And then it leads on from there. I mean, Roger Moore's character in this is an absolute fucking badass. He's like a sort of ex SAS, ex Marine, Royal Marine Commando. That was I think he was a captain, but he's like a covert sort of agent now, sort of like Scotland Yard flying squad kind of thing. Exceptionally good film, you know what I mean? If you've never seen this before, I mean, I won't give away the ending, but the ending's fantastic. You know what I mean? They get dropped into this African nation. The job at hand doesn't really go that well, and loads of action ensues. And I sort of at the time, the mission in action films were popular. The Rambo films were popular. I think that sort of brought on. Why can't I think of the other Chuck Norris film that's a bit like that one?
Delta Force.
Delta Force. It's got that British Delta Force feel about it. And
yeah, it's the same thing as Delta Force. So Delta Force in America is when you're, like an elite Navy SEAL, Green Beret, whatever.
Yeah.
And you get too old, and you're still useful. Then you become Delta Force.
Yeah, well, all these guys are aging ex-servicemen that thought that they'd gone to the knackers yard and no one really cared about them anymore. So they've got nothing to lose, but they're all being paid quite handsomely for doing it. And like I said, Richard Burton goes around recruiting these guys, and he picks up the best of who's left. He brings a South African guy in who knows the lay of the land and things like that to try and take this guerrilla unit out. And it's really good. It's filmed really well. It looks really good. The acting's really good in it. But it was one of those films that I remember from a very early age. I watched this way too young, to be honest with you. There's some graphic scenes in it, especially one with Roger Moore, where he sort of breaks a drug bust up on his own, and the main dealer's left, and he's got loads of cocaine on the bed. And in true Roger Moore fashion, he's really cocky about it, and he makes the guy eat everything. There's pounds and pounds of cocaine on this bed, and he's making this guy shovel it in his mouth, just swallow it all, and then doesn't kill him, just watches him die, and then walks out. You know what I mean? It's but it is a good flick. Like I say, if you haven't seen Wild Geese, you know what I mean. That's the alternative cover. The cover that most people will probably remember is the red one like that.
I actually recognize the other one. I think that's what jumped out to me.
That one, yeah. That was the original VHS cover. And like I say, it's one of those films. It still stands up pretty well. It was a weird one for Arrow to put out. I don't really know why they decided to run with this one. I think maybe because they put Delta Force out and things like that. They thought it may have fitted in quite well with that kind of stuff. And it does, if you know the film, it does work quite well. But yeah, so that's Wild Geese.
Yeah. So I know it's a big British favorite. The owner of Severn has a release of that. One of his earliest releases. Obviously he loves it too.
Yeah, I mean, there's another one at a particular time as well called Who Dares Wins, about a crack SAS unit. Similar kind of film, but that's a really good film as well. If no one's ever seen that.
All right, let's see Sasha's fifth one.
Oh, fifth. Well, in no particular order.
Yeah, just throw whatever way you want to do it.
I mean,
throw whatever up, man.
When I was proposed to do this is the first film I thought of. It's a very popular film, but it's very it's a cult film. With Nell and I.
With Nell and I. Yeah.
With Nell and I. I'm not familiar with that.
It's 1986. It's an autobiographical film. Bruce Robinson, the director, it was his own experience growing up in London in the 60s. It's very dark. I watched this with my Canadian cousin, and she just couldn't see any humor in it. But it's funny, but if you're not British, maybe you won't gravitate. It's typical British humor, you know.
Yeah.
You either
like Benny Hill, right?
You either get it or you don't. I recommend this to my friend Kubik Love in 1972.
Brian.
He just didn't. He just couldn't click with it. He said they're just acting oddly and it's not funny. It's weird. But yeah, Brian.
It's like Mr. Bean.
It's got more substance than Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean, in my mind, is just a rip-off of Jacques Tati anyway.
Yeah. The only way I could describe it from modern day audience would maybe something around Train Spotting.
Okay.
He's
okay.
What's the guy? What's the main guy's name? He was in Warlock and.
Richard E. Grant and Paul McGann.
It sounds like a Woody Allen movie.
It's Paul McGann that I'm thinking of.
No, it really isn't like a Woody Allen film. It's character based. He
plays. Is he a heroin addict? Am I right? Is he a heroin addict, or some form of drug addict?
You know, that is never explained. It's left open to interpretation.
But you'd think he was a heroin addict, looking at him and the way he behaves.
Well, he's a very inflated ego, high opinion of himself, and he's sort of in a cliched kind of way. He was a thespian, an actor. And thought, you know, he deserves better than this. But they never actually focused on any drug angle. So
yeah, it's the one thing that I always got
that from it.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I always got from it, that he was either a using heroin addict or a former heroin addict, just with the little like tropes he has. You know what I mean? It's but like you say, he's very over the top character.
Yeah. But you either get the humor or you don't. I think it is
quite essential British.
Yeah. But autobiographical. It's part of a 2-film set. This and another Bruce Robinson film, How to Get Ahead in Advertising, and it's in a massive book that I couldn't put on the shelf, so I had to make a custom sleeve for it.
Naturally,
you're not going to see this anywhere else.
Yeah. What did you do inside artwork for that?
No, that's before I started doing Inside Out work, but I kept the comedic font, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a cult classic, but
Yes.
actually, this got a Criterion release on DVD. But if you know, you know.
Yeah.
For
It's-
people in the chat watching that don't know Sasha and his channel, he makes custom inserts for releases, custom slips, and things like that. So I guarantee you, probably all 5 he pulled are all custom. So that's not going to be what you find on the internet from
1,
Arrow.
2, 3, 4. Yeah. Well, 3 of them are.
Three out of 5. Okay, so if you're looking for that release, it's not going to look like that from Arrow.
No, it's not. It's going to have that picture that I put on the spine is going to be on the front. But
Okay.
talking about the transfer, it's immaculate. This is a 2K restoration, and it's perfect. Because this film looked really, really ugly. There was a previous Blu-ray. The film's. It's not a beautiful. Well, it just looked murky, and there was no color, and they cleaned all that up, and now it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another point you're bringing up with Arrow. I don't think people know how good their transfers are as far as Blu-rays go. I don't think that you'll find a better Blu-ray transfer than Arrow Video. Their Blu-rays look like 4Ks to me.
Yeah,
My
correct.
eyes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can say that too. Yeah, the next one I'm going to talk about is one of the best looking I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, let's get to this next one so we can get into the chat. My 5th one, this is a good release, don't get me wrong. So a lot of these, it's like the features, a lot has to do with it for me. That because Arrow, their strength is the bonus features a lot too, not just the scan. They
Mhm.
usually have an obscure movie will also have a bunch of bonus features. This one, there are a lot of bonus features. They're not the best in my opinion, but the strength of this movie alone is why it's on the list. And I don't think most people have seen it. I may be on some people's watch list. I don't know, but it's 2020's Last Matinee.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is it's from Uruguay, I believe. It looks like there's a lot of bonus features. There's some interviews and some making up stuff. I wasn't that impressed with the bonus features of it, but it's got a poster and a booklet and all this stuff in it, but this is the reverse art. There's also another release here. This tells a little more telling of it,
Nice.
of what the movie is, but it's about these people go to what you would call the cinema for a matinee screening. It's very Giallo inspired. The guy who made this and plays the killer is a Giallo fanatic. The killer is eyeball obsessed, of course. He wears black gloves. He even eats eyeballs. He's so infatuated with eyeballs. It's just a really, really strong modern horror entry. The score is incredible. And like I said, this is made by fans for fans. And I could not recommend this higher. This movie blew me away. I'm a huge fan of it. Sasha, ignore this. You're not going to be. This is not up your alley. But it's very stylized. It's very Giallo. Like if you're a Giallo fan, this is a great movie. And like I said, it just moves right along. It's a lot of fun. All practical effects. Just great visuals. Man's outside in the rain smoking a cigarette. He gets his throat slit by the killer. The smoke's pouring out of his neck. You know what I mean? It's very well done. It's very well done.
Yeah.
And like I said, I couldn't recommend it higher. It's a blast. And like I said, out of Uruguay, how many movies are from Uruguay? You know what I mean?
Not many.
Not many. So yeah, don't sleep on this release. You can get it very cheap. It did not sell very well at all from Arrow Video, Arrow UK. I think this was $11 in the last sale. I'm sure it'll be $11 in the next sale. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, definitely worth the blind buy. But yeah, the features there's quite a bit, but I'm not. They were okay. Let's just put it that way. Which is normally I gush about the features, but the strength of the movie alone, I think, makes it worth a blind buy.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you'll find on a lot of these more obscure titles, that some of the features are a little bit lacking, because there probably won't have been that much kept about the original film. The film themselves, some of the more obscure stuff, especially the straight to VHS stuff, there have been never anything in the way of special features for those kind of films originally. You're trying to find those actors now, or producers, or directors, because there was a lot of them were low budget, because of a lot of them were done by production companies that no longer exist. There just isn't the source material there to get anything for them anymore. So I think, but the one thing, a feather in Arrow's cap is they do go out of the way to find something to put on these releases of new bonus material, which is brilliant.
Yeah, language barriers, all this stuff, and they're even some of these are foreign films in my releases. Foreign even to the UK, non-English speaking countries, and they make it work. I mean, getting bonus features. I mean, you just imagine that you get translators and airfare and all this. It's not cheap to do all this. Let's catch up with the chat and get on to the next one. Sean's in. He's sorry about the internet difficulties. No worries, man. There's always next stream after that.
Yeah, there's loads of the time, Sean. Don't worry a minute.
Russell, what's going on, man?
Hey, man.
Dean saying Tony Wild Geese was probably a film loved by Granddad Stan.
Oh yes, most definitely. Most definitely, he would have loved Wild Geese.
Let's see. Sean says, I really don't know many obscure Arrow video releases. I think I'll have a few. The ones that you sent me are, fairly obscure. So yeah, they would have worked for sure. We're saying, hey,
are we going to cover his picks here? Oh.
Yeah, I'll probably run through them at the end.
Yeah.
Crusher saying he never saw Wild Geese. That sounds like it's right up Crusher's alley.
Yeah, if you like Delta Force or anything like that, Crusher, then you'll love Wild Geese, mate.
I know he likes action movies.
Yeah. Oh, it's action packed for sure. It's more drama, more real life gritty action movies than sort of over the top stuff, but it's really, really good.
Rob saying he has that VHS Wild Geese. Scald or Wild Geese British Expendables from '78. That sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is sacrilegious, but as you were explaining it, that came to mind.
Yeah, Expendables. Yeah.
Saying what's up?
It was lightning in a bottle. It's one of a kind.
Yeah.
They captured a time and place.
Yeah, Russell's a fan, but yeah, I get that feeling from what you're describing. It's like you watch The Sopranos. I know that, Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in the of a certain age, from the late '90s to the early 2000s, you can turn The Sopranos on, and it's literally like a time machine. You just go right back. The vehicles, the clothing, the trends, the cell phones, the whole lot. So I get that feeling a lot.
Well, there's dated things in it. I mean, they talk about, I remember there's one scene where they say, by the year 2003, we'll do this. Things like that will date it. But, I always remember thinking, well, if they just said, well, in the next 7 years, we'll do it, then that could be today.
Then it could be timeless. Yeah. A lot of times they don't think about that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Rob Romano, what's going on, man?
Hey, Rob. How's it going, dude? Are you all right?
Appreciate you stopping by, man. See you in the next one. Ken Carlson, I gambled selling off my Arrow pieces, Reanimator, Bride of Reanimator, and Torso. Really hope there's 4Ks coming. A lot of re-releases happening. Who knows? Reanimator 4K, I can pretty much guarantee that's happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Ken Carlos says the 4K scan of pieces already done. Don't need more extras, just the 4K already. Yeah. A couple good releases of that out there. Russell saying, oh, yeah, Last Matinee is definitely killer, pun intended. Yeah, really strong modern horror. Russell saying definitely has elements of demons. I know what you did last summer. Lots of giallo stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a winner. Magic Hands, what's going on?
Magic Hands.
The HMO. All right. All right, let's see what Anthony's next one is.
So you heard me mention films like Death Wish and that on the last one. And I like all that kind of stuff. It has a Death Wish as a nostalgic place for me, as does most Charles Bronson films. But I remember this next film quite fondly again from the VHS days. Again, straight to video, low budget. This was a New World Pictures film, so you pretty much know what you're getting with those guys when it's straight to VHS. I think it did have a small theatrical run in the UK for about a week, because I think at the time there was a ruling in the UK where before a film could get a video release, it had to be shown on theatres first, and I'm sure this got a week's grace at some point in time. Again, this film seems to be and I mean a complete mashup between Death Wish and the A-Team, which who could wish for a better mashup than that? And it is a film called The Annihilators. Really, really good. This transfer looks absolutely amazing for how low budget this film was back in the day. And like I say, I remember it on VHS. And for a film that only got a week's run in cinemas, there couldn't have been that many 35mm prints knocking around of it. But the source material they did find, they did an absolutely fantastic job with it. And it looks absolutely brilliant. The audio on it is fantastic as well if you've got a decent setup. But the story of the Annihilators is about 5 brothers in arms throughout the Vietnam War. They're a small sort of tactical unit, Green Berets, covert operations. They have an handler that's called Popeye. No one's ever seen him, but this guy keeps sending these guys on missions that only these guys can sort out, really. And during the last mission in Nam, one of the party members, a guy called Joey, he's put on guard. He's watching these guys' backs, and unbeknown, the enemy comes in round the back and they injure Joe. The plan goes ahead and everything goes off like it should, but Joe gets injured. And then cut forward in time, and it shows you all these guys back in day-to-day life. And Joe is now in a wheelchair, and he doesn't say what state of America he's actually in, but he's living in quite a rough neighborhood, quite a rough area. But he's now wheelchair bound, and he runs a little corner store. But there's some local muscle gangs that are pushing in on these areas, and they're wanting protection money. And the people in this area haven't got protection money to pay. And when Joe says, "Listen, guys, I'm not paid anymore," basically can go fuck yourselves, they kill him. And lo and behold, his brothers in arms find out, and the 4 of them come back together to show the punks in this neighborhood what's what, and they come in to clean the neighborhood up. And like I said, the only way that I can explain it to anyone on layman's terms is Death Wish meets 100% the A-Team. It's 3 white guys and a black guy. The black guy is just like Mr. T, but a thinner version. You know what I mean? The main guy's just like Hannibal Smith. It's uncanny. And all they've done, they just put all these things in a mix, see what came out. And what came out is The Annihilators. It's very good. It's completely action-packed. It's gun-toting all the way through. There's black martial artists in there. It's a fun time. It's like 89 minutes long. It's in to the point and out. It's loads of fun. So if you've never seen Annihilators and you like those kind of action movies, check that one out. You will really, really enjoy it.
I'm interested.
You love a vigilante movie.
Was that what, late, mid to late 80s? What?
It's around 85, 86, I think.
Right.
Normally says on the back here somewhere. I can't find it now. Anybody in the chat help us out? Annihilators, what year it came out? I can't see where it is.
I don't know where it states the year. They don't.
They don't. It's not like Criterion where the year's just kind of stamped.
Yeah,
sometimes it's on there, sometimes it's on there.
Yeah, sometimes it's above the barcode. But
it's in the small print on the bottom.
Yeah, below the barcode.
Yeah, it doesn't say on this one. It just says the
if the 18 is a heavy influence, it's got to be, I would think, 86 or something like that.
Yeah, but the A-Team is definitely a heavy influence on it. And then, like I say, all the vigilante films of that time, they just pay homage to that. But the thing was, all the actors that are in there, I couldn't tell you a name of one of them. I don't know any of them. But when I sort of did a little bit of digging on it, most of them were actors from US TV shows. One of them, the black guy, he was a soap actor off a short-lived soap in the US. Some guys had done theatre work. There was one guy that did improv. It was a bit weird. There we go. Dean's just messaged me. 1985.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it takes influences from all that kind of stuff. A million shot fired and no one hit in typical A-Team style. I mean, to be fair, that's the original VHS cover. That tells you nothing about this film in any way, shape, or form. There's a guy in a mask there, right?
Yeah.
There is no guy in a mask in the film at all. There's none of these kind of weapons. All they've got is all they've got is handguns. And this guy here, the main guy, he's got some kind of like weird MP5 submachine gun kind of thing. That's the only arsenal they've got, really. But
so that image, that's very misleading then.
Yeah, it's typical VHS image that it
Typical
wants to buy
80s
into the film.
VHS. Yeah.
It wants to buy into the film, knowing the film's shit, but that artwork is going to grab you straight away. And
Well, you know, back then, you know, you were going to be high anyway when you watched it. So what does it matter? You'd be fucked up. So what did it matter?
Yeah, and there was no trailers you could watch. You just had to take a punt on what the art looked like on the box. You know what I mean? It was.
Yeah, and that carried into the 90s. Those old 80s VHS tapes were still there. And you'd rent them and you get them home and you go, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know, but let's see what Sasha's got up next.
Okay, my next one was an obvious choice to me. 1986 again, I think, just like with Nell and I. I don't know if this is obscure or not, because it does have a Criterion edition, but I didn't. It's the same transfer. I didn't get it just for more extra features. It's Mona Lisa.
I know that movie. He's a crime boss, right? Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins. Yeah.
He's retired. I think retired. And he's just there's parallels to Taxi Driver. At least I see parallels to Taxi Driver because he's trying to save this woman. He finds her and he wants to help her.
Yeah.
Like Travis Bickle did, but not in a more sane way, I suppose. But it's, character driven. I really recommend this. It's very emotional, very heartfelt. Great performances all around. It stars the late great Robbie Coltrane in a smaller role. Michael Caine is his boss. He's quite nasty. It's a lot better than I remember it being because I saw it in 1986 and obviously went over my head at that age. But looking at it now, I can really appreciate this film. It's quality. It's directed by Neil Jordan. I think he made The Crying Game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I rate this highly. It's very good. Everything's very.
Since I've seen it.
It's incredibly understated. It's very. What's the opposite of in your face? It's that, I suppose.
So he's an old mafia guy, basically, right? An old, criminal, and he has money, and I believe she's an escort, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he tries to help her, and starts to,
and
romance.
He falls for her, and he said, you're better than this. I want to get you out of this lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And he does what he can. It's a very moving and powerful film. I rate it. And
isn't there like a trilogy, an unofficial trilogy, where Bob Hoskins plays a crime boss that Arrow has? Like, I have one of them.
There's the Long Good Friday.
Long Good Friday is the one I have.
There's this, which I have that in a steel book, and I don't know what the third one would be.
I think there's a third one. I don't recall, but somebody in the chat will correct me. They're obviously unofficial, but he plays a similar character,
Oh, yeah. And I'm not honestly sure why this is called Mona Lisa, other than the fact that it opens with the song Mona Lisa by Nat King Cole.
It does, yeah.
But that's kind of, it's not a major theme.
So far, we've got an old school action movie.
Yeah.
We've got 2 dramas that Tony would cry blood if he watched. And wait till you see what I pull next. This is why you put these together this way. You don't want to have 3 guys that are going to pull the same 3 titles.
Stuff. No, of course you don't.
You know, this next one was a total surprise. It's an Aero Academy. I bought it. I don't even remember. It's been 2 years ago, maybe. I don't know, a long time ago. And it took me probably a year to watch it. And I watched it the first time and I barely got through it, but I'll get more into that. It's 2016's The Untamed. I believe it's Mexico, South America, something like that. South American production. Mexico. I think it's Mexican. I'm pretty positive it's Mexican, actually. All Mexican crew. It's in Spanish, obviously. This is a movie that it doesn't spoon feed you the story at all. I actually did a WTF. It was the first WTF we did on this. And this story, you really have to pay attention because you're going to have to put it together yourself. So some people like that kind of thing. Some people don't. So I started this movie, started watching it, very intrigued, enjoying it. Just kind of a interesting story. And I don't know, I'm giving you the backstory on it, but I guess I will. There out of nowhere is a graphic gay sex scene. 2 guys in this. And it was so shockingly graphic that it really took me out of the movie. And then I kind of skipped forward. I was like, God damn, I don't want to see that again. I hope that's it. You know what I mean? That kind of put me on my guard the rest of the movie. And I got through it. And I remember Dirk. Yeah. I remember Dirk was going to buy this. He had it in his cart. And I called him and I said, don't buy it. He hates anything like that. He wouldn't even have it in his house. I said, don't buy it. He thanked me and whatever, we went on. And I finally said, you know what, I bought it. I'm gonna sit down and watch it again, get all the way through it, because there was some interesting stuff in here. I'm gonna get into that. And I really, really liked it the second time. Basically what the story is, this couple that lives in the wilderness in Mexico, there's a meteor crash. And the meteor has a tentacle being inside of it. And the being is basically very extremely sexual. This being it literally just lives in a barn, and anybody that goes in the barn, it tries to have sex with it. So what the meaning behind it is, a giant tentacle monster that wants to have sex with people. It sounds ridiculous. I get it, but it's very well done. It's surprisingly good. And, by the end of it, it will stick with you. You will leave the movie and you will be thinking about it, and you will want to watch it again and try and figure out what the hell is this about? What is it? What's the meaning behind it? And I won't go any further than that. You have a giant tentacle monster that wants to have sex with people, but it's also dangerous. So, I mean, there's more to that. Let me go to the reverse art. This is what got me, this artwork. It's Aero Academy release. There's a full 84-minute documentary on the making of in this, which I thought was interesting. Which I always like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Here's the reverse art. That tells a little bit different story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does.
It's rated. It's rated 18. Contains strong sex.
Is it elements of sci-fi? Because you're
Yes.
talking about other species.
Yeah. I think of anything I've got pulled here, you would like this the most, Sasha.
It's compelling, I suppose, by what you said.
I think, like I said, the meaning of the creature, where the creature comes from, you have to put it together yourself. That's the most interesting part about it. It is a CGI monster. This, no bones about it, is the best CGI I've ever seen. Period. It's never been as good as this, and this is a shitty Mexican movie. Yeah. So it just proves if you spend the money and use the lighting effectively, you can do one. You can still do great things with CGI.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't want to go any further than that because I hope that people actually see this movie. And this is, there's fanfare for foreign film in my country, at least. There's fanfare for foreign films like people at the Special Olympics. People go and clap, even though it's that kind of thing. In America, we feel our films are superior. We have a history of victory with films. And I don't like to just glad hand a foreign film just because it's foreign. This is a foreign film that's actually done really well. It's a really good idea, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think more people should see it. And this could be had in the Aero sales for around £9, which is around $11. So check it out. I don't know if you can stream it or not, but it's not a gore fest. It is a horror film. It's not a gore fest. It's, like I said, it is everything I said it is.
Yeah, I remember watching the first WTF when you did that one.
Yeah, trying to explain that movie is not easy at all. But trying to explain it without spoilers is not easy at all. But for anybody sensitive to that sort of thing, there's a very graphic male-on-male sex scene in the movie. I'd have to tell you, if you can stomach that, it's worth checking out. All right, let's catch up with the chat and get on to the next one here.
I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, it's a lower budget film, right? You said.
I don't. You can't tell. I don't know. It just seems like a group of people came together and made this, and it's listed as a drama horror mystery.
Yeah, it's one I'd never come across until you did the review on it that time. I'd never heard of it, never seen it.
Imagine not. Yeah, Joe Joker writing down the Annihilators. That sounds good. 85.
You'll enjoy it, man. Yeah, you'll enjoy it. It is really good.
Ken said, Brad, when you think we're seeing Peter Jackson's Bad Taste meet the Feebles, Dead Alive 4 guy? Dude, they've been talking about it for years. I have no idea. I think Peter Jackson has to oversee it, and he is so rich from the Lord of the Rings stuff that I don't think he cares about. He's over in New Zealand, just hanging out, living on a mountain somewhere. I don't think he cares. So maybe not.
Not exactly a priority for him.
Yeah. Russell saying, Ken, we can't hold our breath long enough for the come. Yeah, Dead Alive 4K would sell like crazy. I mean, it would be a big deal.
I watched a friend's review of that film, and I had to stop watching it. It was so gory.
It's very, very gory.
It's very gory. Yeah.
Well, Wrangler saying Rotor VHS cover versus movie. You know that movie?
I do, yeah. I mean, Rotor cover is absolutely fantastic. It's got like a mechanoid dressed as a police officer in like a post-apocalyptic background, but he's stood in like a 2000 AD kind of stance, like side on, gun up. It's amazing, the artwork on that. I don't know the artist that did it, but the movie itself is an absolute stinker.
Of course. Oh, I was telling the story about Dirk. I trailed off here. So I called him back after watching it the second time. And he really likes those non-linear, you have to put it together, it's not spoon-fed you stories. And then I told him to pick it up and just, what scene, timestamp to kind of skip around kind of shit. And, even if he felt the same way, that it's the kind of movie it'll end and you will have questions and it'll make you think and you may want to watch it again. And that's what I liked about it. I like the replay value of it. Joker, she's a dirty whore, Alan. Yeah. We did WTF on Night of the Hunted. And Alan just burst out of nowhere and said, she's a dirty whore. That's what he's referring to.
Oh, I thought he was referring to Mona Lisa.
No, he's referring to a stream we did.
Although it could be both.
Let's see. Sculptor says Arrow had a limited edition box set of The Long Good Friday and Mona Lisa included, and it included a third film, Apaches, 1977. I'm not familiar with that.
No, I don't know that one.
Apaches is a short. Yeah.
Oh,
Crusher of the
well,
Annihilators is a must buy. Thanks, Anthony, for it costs me money every time. Yeah.
You're
That
welcome.
sounds good. That Wild Geese sounds right up your alley, Crusher.
money
yeah,
well
man,
spent.
you'll love. Yeah. And again, just wait till the £9 sales come on, man. You can't beat it for £9 when they hit that kind of money.
Absolutely. They're cheap and quality releases.
Yeah. Right, next one. There are a million and one Indiana Jones knockoffs, and have been for years and years and years. And some of them were watered down, and some of them went in a little bit of different directions. But there's definitely an undertone of that kind of film, of the adventure, of the escape. And Arrow put a few out, and I've got a couple of them here. Well, the first one is a film called Jake Speed. Jake Speed is this gentleman here, and he is, for all intents and purposes, a comic book character. He's in sort of little novels that are put out on a monthly basis, that pop up on news seller stands and bookshops all over, and sort of like little comic books about the stories of Jake Speed. And everybody doesn't think he's a real man, he's a real character. And the young lady on the front here, while on holiday in Paris, her sister gets kidnapped by a prostitution ring, and all these white women get taken over to South Africa, and basically they're classed as white women slaves, as prostitutes. And she basically wants to try and get her sister back. And they've tried everything. They've been to the FBI, they've been to the CIA, they've been everywhere. No one can sort of help because it's in South Africa. And so that part of South Africa where they are, it's war-toiled at the moment. No one can get in or out. There's a massive conflict on. So basically, they've lost her sister. There's no way of getting her back. And then a grandfather steps in and says, listen, America has heroes, and starts rhyming all these names off. And he mentions Jake Speed, and the guy from the FBI sort of laughs and says, sir, he's just a fictional character. He's not real. And he said, of course he's real. America's got loads of these guys. You just don't want us to know about them. So that's sort of that. And out of nowhere, this lady gets a note pushed under her door. If you want to see your sister again, come and meet us in this particular bar. And when they get there, Jake Speed is there. Jake Speed is a real guy. And the exploits and the adventures of Jake Speed are written down by a companion of his. And the way to make money to do what they're doing is by selling these paperback books of his adventures. And so they go to South Africa to try and get her sister back in the middle of this massive conflict and this coup that's going on. And you see all the sort of potential bad guys, and you sort of think you see who's going to be the main bad guy within the film. And he gets killed quite early on, so you're sort of like lost with it a little bit. But it's got that action adventure feel about it, and it's very slick in what it does. And if you like films like Romancing the Stone or Jewel in the Nile, it's got that feel about it too. And then out of nowhere steps up John Hurt. And it turns out that John Hurt is the main bad guy in it, and he's an absolute fucking nut job. He takes a fantastic part. I've always liked John Hurt. John Hurt's a great actor. But for such a low budget, this is a New Line Cinema film as well, such a low budget, small film, to get John Hurt in it, to act the way he acts, he's phenomenal. And it's just an all-round good little romp. It does what it does. It's very short again. I think it's like 105 minutes long, so you're in, you get the grips of the story, it gets you out again. But again, if you like films like Jewel in the Nile or Romancing the Stone, that kind of sort of action adventure film, then Jake Speed's will be definitely up your alley. And again, it looks beautiful. The restoration on it is fantastic. There's a little bit right at the beginning where it looks like they possibly couldn't have got the footage from 35mm, and it looks like VHS tape restoration. I would imagine how that's the first 5 minutes done, and then it cuts, and then it looks like it's been run off 35, and it looks excellent. I think it's a 2K. Yeah, it is. It's a 2K restoration as well, so it looks fantastic. The score, it's really good. It had a soundtrack written for it. It's a good little all-round romp. So if you've not seen Jake Speed, definitely check it out. It's a good little action film.
Kind of sounded like Last Action Hero for a minute, you know.
It's definitely got the vibe, like I say, of a Romance in the Stone or a Jewel in the Nile. It's definitely got that kind of feel to it. It's got a little bit of sort of King Solomon's Mines thrown in there, but without the treasure side of things. It's got the sort of companionship between the action hero and the female hero. It's got that balance, like a lot of those films, and all the Indiana Jones films had it. You know what I mean? It's everybody tried to work off that kind of thing, and that works really well. It's loads of fun.
Yeah, these all seem like very much Tony picks.
Oh God, yeah. These are all that kind of film.
Well, to contrast that, this is in my. I don't make lists and have top 5, but this is in my top 5 films. I think this is one of my favorite films of all time. Children of Men. I don't know if you know this one, Tony.
I do know that one. Yeah, it's a great film.
I adore this film. I adore everything about this film.
Fantastic film.
Yeah.
What character do you feel you had the most in common? What's the character most like you in the movie?
So you know this
Michael Caine? Michael Caine could be your father. That's why I watched the movie. I watched the movie. He seems like Sasha.
I never really thought about that. I suppose, I might have to agree with that. Jasper, yeah. His place where he lives, and in the middle of nowhere in the forest.
Yeah,
I like that. I would say Jasper.
It's a good, apocalyptic drama.
Yeah.
I love the reality. It just feels so.
It does.
Grounded
and true and real.
Yeah, grounded. Yeah, it does feel very good.
Set in the year 2027, so not that far away. Made in 2006. I don't know why this film isn't, or does it have a sort of a following? I'm not sure.
I think it does have a cult following.
Yeah.
I just I've lost track of how many times I've seen this. I just every time I see it, I like it more and more.
It's really good. I mean, arguably Clive Owen's best film.
In my opinion, absolutely it is.
It's fantastic in it. You know what I mean? I've seen him in other things, and obviously with us being Brits, I got brought up with Clive Owen being a TV actor, and then his move to film was particularly good, but some of it was a bit slapstick that he was doing, and then he did that, and I thought, wow, you know what I mean? It's exceptionally good.
Yes.
He did a movie. He did a movie directed by David Schwimmer. I'm trying to find it here, where he is his daughter is being courted by an online sex predator.
Oh, yeah, I never saw that, but I heard of it, yeah.
It's very good. And again, David Schwimmer directed it. It's kind of crazy that but yeah, I would still say that's his best work. Maybe he's good in Sin City also, but I really like this other one. I can't think of what the hell. So somebody in the chat screaming it right now, but
I think it was a one-word title. It was not that really helps.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking. Hang on just a second.
But this might sound weird to say. When I watch this film, it feels so immersive. I can feel the wind blowing in the scenes when they're outside. It's that immersive that I just get fully enveloped in the whole. It's an experience to me. It's not a film. It's an experience.
Yeah, because the whole thing feels real. The whole thing feels real. The way it looks, the way it's filmed,
The
You know
way
what I
it's
mean?
shot,
The
the way it's
aesthetics,
edited.
yeah, everything about it. It just feels like something that could be happening. You know what I mean? It looks like news footage. It looks like newsreel footage in places. It's
Yes.
very well shot.
Yeah, it is. It is. It was
Trust.
The
Oh, I don't
movie's
know
called
that.
Trust.
Trust.
the long takes. Oh, you own it.
Yeah, Trust.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
It's really dark,
That's-
and he's
It's
really
one
good. in it.
I never did see that. Yeah. Another custom sleeve.
Naturally.
That's cool.
Yeah, this
But
is didn't get a US release. This is UK only.
for the people who
okay.
haven't seen it, what's the plot? What's the basic plot synopsis of that?
It's well, it's set in a dystopian future where everything's sort of as bad as it can be, really. But the last person in the world has been born because it's against the law for women to give birth. But
Wasn't it? Am I making it? Am I mistaken? Wasn't it that everyone becomes sterile? It's like they can't give birth. I don't believe that. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I didn't think it was illegal to have children. It was they can't have children, and the youngest person on the planet is a celebrity.
yes,
Yes,
because
yeah.
purely because of their age. Yes,
Yeah, and they die.
they have
you know,
to.
in the movie.
But the one woman who's pregnant, they have to sort of protect her, and she can't. She's got to be hidden.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's essentially the premise. I saw this in the cinema, and unfortunately, I missed the first 10 minutes, and that didn't help in grasping the plot when I missed the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it like you said, Tony, it just feels absolutely real.
Yeah.
And you get pulled into the atmosphere of it, and yeah, one of my favorite films.
Yeah,
it's really solid
as well. If you look at the camera angles, at the way some of it's being filmed, the camera angles are sort of off angle, but it feels natural. It doesn't feel like a place, and it makes it look way more realistic. It's sort of odd to explain unless you've seen the film, but it's like you get sort of this over the shoulder perspective with a lot of it, and like up close at the side of someone, but even though they're in shot, you're engaging with them as well. As it's weird how it's filmed, but it makes it feel really gripping and really real.
It puts you in there. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, it's not the sort of conventional close-up, medium shot, two shot.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't obey by those rules, and it's a kind of a fly on the wall experience, I suppose, in that way.
It's got espionage in it. It kind of reminded me of 12 Monkeys a little bit with the espionage and how they're trying to keep her from the government because the government would basically harvest the baby and, try to figure out how they could replicate. She would basically be, a casualty, and they would just take. That's the theory that they're working on, but it doesn't actually end up that way. But I watched that movie, and I just remember thinking, boy, the apocalypse in England, they're handling it pretty well. Like our apocalyptic movies, it's like people are eating each other. It's always like, it's always way worse. Like you ever watch The Road with
Soul Destroy.
It's it could have gone differently. Yeah.
Well, if you watch that movie, Children of Men, and then watch The Road right after, it's just like, I should move to the UK because it's going to be fucked if this shit happens to us. They're fucking people are eating each other, killing each other over shoes.
Children of Men. Yeah, that's the title. Children of Men.
Yeah.
To my mind, it's a classic. It's a modern classic.
Strong pick there.
The song that plays over the end credits. I didn't catch it the first time. I recommend everybody watch it. It's called "Running the World." Look up a French "Running the World" performed on live French TV. It's Blur perform it. I think the only way they could get away with singing that on live television is because they were in France, and I take it the French didn't understand what they were saying because, well,
They're French.
the lyrics are unrepeatable. I'll
Yeah.
just say that. But it's
Yep.
true to this day what they say.
I think I have a U.S. release of that.
It did get a universal release, which I gave away when I got this.
Yeah,
I should
Arrow's
give
probably
that-
the better of the two for sure.
Yeah,
All right,
but a masterpiece of a film to my mind.
Yeah, it's good.
it's
Very
solid. Kind of surprised it's not a Criterion. All right, so
Yeah,
from that, 1990 Frankenhooker.
good. Hey.
This is a comedy, horror, sci-fi movie. I'll give you the basic plot synopsis. This is written and directed by Frank Henenlotter. A medical student sets out to recreate a medical student. He's an electrician that flunked out of medical school multiple times. He sets out to recreate his decapitated fiance by building her a new body made of Manhattan street prostitutes. What more do you need to hear? I mean, you see the cover. This is unfortunately a UK release. It's not a US release, so you do have to import it. But it is all region. A, B, and C. I'm sure you probably can't see that there, but it is all region. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Pretty solid bonus features on this one. It's a salad that was once named Elizabeth. The feature. This is an interview with the actress that plays the Frankenhooker. This movie is just a blast. Like I always say, nerds, weird science is for nerds, Frankenhookers for men. This is not weird science. This is the adult version. This is a great movie. It's hilarious, and I don't know. It's Frank Henenlotter. If you know Frank Henenlotter stuff, this is right up your alley. Bill Murray is quoted. This is one of his favorite movies. That should tell you a lot about it. You got interviews with Frank Henenlotter. You got a making of documentary on this release. It's about 40 minutes. You got all, it's pretty loaded for an Arrow release, and I'm glad we have it. No need for 4K. The scan looks great. I'm very happy with this one. I think a lot of people were expecting, if anybody knows me, were expecting me to pull this release. This to me is the best Arrow release in history. And I'm just briefly going to point out why. I have never seen an Arrow release with more bonus features.
Yeah, it's big.
Let me pull one up by comparison here.
Oh, regardless of the film itself, you mean just for that?
Yeah.
Look at that.
It is
I mean, look at the difference in bonus features there. And I happen to love the movie. I don't know how obscure it is. It shouldn't be obscure. Every one of you motherfuckers should own this. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Your mother buy this movie, but I pulled this one instead for a reason. I think it's a little more obscure than Basket Case. It's a solid release. Frank Henenlotter, and this is the release to get. There is a Synapse release that's pretty good, but this is much newer. It's a newer scan, has newer interviews. There's the reverse art that Arrow did. That is an exploding hooker party that happens in the movie. All these hookers explode from doing super crack.
Oh yeah.
They should be
Is that,
people should be ordering it right now.
Yeah, at the bottom of the spectral features, it normally tells you he's done the reverse art. Was that great? Is it Graham Humphrey's artwork? That it looks like he's got his artwork. Look.
There's a signature
No,
under
right
exclusive license and disc package design. Arrow Films authorized use. Yeah, I'm not seeing a name.
Does not say a name. No,
Yeah.
no, at the bottom of the special features bit, it says reverse art by.
Reversible sleeve with original and newly commissioned artwork by Graham Humphreys.
Yeah, Graham Humphreys. You could tell Graham Humphreys' work a mile off. It's fantastic.
But yeah, this is just a lot of fun. Like I said, it's a dirty New York movie, 42nd Street type movie. It's a lot of fun. The main character goes crazy when his wife is accidentally run over by an automated lawnmower that he built for her father-in-law at his birthday party in front of her entire family. As the news reporters say, she gets turned into a human salad. and he has to put her back together again. He goes crazy in this. He starts drilling holes in his brain to, to make his brain work better for some reason. I don't know. It's a blast, and it's a must-own for any Arrow collector. And yeah, I mean, I don't need to really go any further. It's definitely, you gotta have this. I don't know what you're doing if you don't have this.
I think that's US only, that one. I think Second Sight put Basket Case out over here.
Yeah, I have that release also. The Second Sight basket case here somewhere. But
it came as a triple pack as well.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, the bonus features. There's a full-length documentary on all three movies in with this release, and a million other things. Joe Bob interviews, all kinds of stuff. But that goes without saying. I don't really need to bring that up. I did, but I didn't need to bring it up. Scalder's a fan.
Is Frankenhooker tongue in cheek? I mean, it knows
Very,
what it is.
very. There's no blood in it. It's very much, yeah. It's a comedy.
Oh,
Cal, what's going on, man?
Hello, Cal.
Alan said he wanted to stop in. Cool.
Hey, Alan. You all right, man?
Brent Madison recommended Over the Edge from 79. Arrow UK Blu-rays, region free. It's a great hour-long documentary with Matt Dillon and the cast and director. Worth it alone for the great movie. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'm not familiar with that one, Over the Edge.
No, I don't know that one.
I've been recommended that film a lot of times, so maybe I should actually look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
Jake Speed now on the list. Right on.
Go on, Crusher.
Scalder, of course, he knew. The pervert Scalder, he knew exactly what it was. It's
David Schwimmer made a film called Run, Fat Boy, Run with Simon Pegg. That was a really funny comedy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how effective it was and how good he was at with this movie. It's a very dark subject matter, online child predators. But the dynamic and, Catherine Keener is terrible in this, but Clive Owen is great. And like I said, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it. I don't have really hardly anything bad to say about it. I think it's very effective. Everybody's saying, what's up? All right, yep. I'll run it 20 days later. Not an Arrow release, but a great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
No, but a different style of apocalyptic, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying was the Americans, like a grounded apocalyptic scenario, not a zombie apocalypse. The Road is a very grounded. It's like a solar flare event that happens, and it kills all the vegetation on the planet, and we're just left to wander. That's the Road. A very brutal apocalypse movie.
28 days later, when 28 Days Later first came out, I was obsessed with that film. Totally.
It's great.
I can still watch it now, but I think I've watched it one too many times. It's sort of taken the edge off it a little bit, but it's a fantastic film. Yeah, with the father-daughter and all that. Kind of reminded me of Dog Soldiers a little bit. Yeah.
Kind of like the zombie version of Dog Soldiers.
Yeah.
Crusher, it's Frankenhooker. I used to own it 2 times and sold it off. Oh well, yeah. It's great release. Sean, Frankenhooker should have came with an example of the super crack. Absolutely. Scalder, Frankenhooker sounds like a Criterion Collection candidate.
If they can put grease inside the cases, they can put some crack in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The off gassing or whatever it is, out gassing. Again, Scalder and his endless hate for a great movie.
Basket Case, yeah.
Sean, the Basket Case release is always available. Well, you can get it very cheap. I've seen it as cheap as $11 on Hamilton Book, 11 US, but you won't get the slipcover that came with this. It came with a booklet and a slipcover. but I gave the slipcover to somebody else that didn't have it, and they wanted it, and they were about to pay like, whatever it was, $50 for the stupid slip online. I was like, just take mine. I really don't care. But I'm sure this will get a 4K, even though, I mean, it's a clipped 16 millimeter. What are we doing? This movie looks as good as it should look, in my opinion. You don't want to go too far with some of this stuff.
It's not going to look any better in 4K off a 16 mil.
Yeah. And, sometimes it shouldn't. Sometimes it shouldn't.
No.
Like I've talked about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre release from Second Sight Films. Second Sight's a great company, and they did too good a job on the 4K restoration. It looks like a new movie. That's not what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like an old grindhouse. It's supposed to be dirty, and the German scan was better. The German scan left a lot of that grit in, and that's the one on the Dark Sky release.
Yeah.
Wild Ring, the Basket Case, Brain Damage, Frankenhooker. Yeah, they're all great, and they're all Arrow releases.
Yep.
Sean says Street Trash and Frankenhooker makes for a good double feature. Absolutely. Yeah, Sean, it's not like earlier you were talking about the Basket Case being available. And it is. It's not so much about being OOP or not. It's just have many people seen them? If they're Wild Geese is readily available, but 8 people on the planet have seen Wild Geese, and 2 of them are in Tony's family. So it's more or less have people seen it or haven't seen it. Wild Wrangler, Zora the Pimp, absolutely. He's in a few of Frank Henenlotter's movies. That actor, I think he's like Puerto Rican or something like that. There's a Puerto Rican guy playing a bodybuilder pimp type character. Yeah, it's Zora the Pimp. Rick Walrus.
Hey, no, this is my dude. Right, this is one of my oldest friends, my best friend, and in the gym last night there was a discussion going round that who does it better, Leonardo DiCaprio or Denzel Washington, and I upset everyone by saying they were both shit. So, you know what I mean?
Well, let's go back. What were you doing in the gym? Were you there to fix the computer or something, or like what were you doing at the gym?
Yeah, I was decorating.
Decorating, yeah.
No, working out.
Working out what? Your feet?
Mathematical equations.
Yeah, you doing equations on the be like what's that Matt Damon movie?
Matt Damon, yeah.
That Matt Damon movie where he's Goodwill Hunting. You doing math equations on the whiteboard?
Yeah, pulling a janitor's trolley around.
Between the two,
I mean, I would say Scorsese's and DiCaprio. So I like
Departed.
Scorsese.
Yeah. To me, I love Departed, and Denzel Washington. Probably my favorite movie of his is probably the Manchurian Candidate remake. So I'd say DiCaprio's probably had the better career.
See, I know everyone has this thing for Denzel Washington. People like him, right? And I get that. But he's the same character in everything he does. He has no range at all. He's just the same in everything.
Not Training Day. Not Training Day.
See, Training Day, and loads of people love it, and I can't stand it.
But he was playing against type. That's my point.
Yeah, he was playing against type in that. But yeah, usually it's the typical "get your hands off of me," type stuff. He has the same kind of mannerisms. Yeah, Vince Vaughn's another actor. Vince Vaughn does the same. He's Vince Vaughn in every movie, I see what you're saying.
The remake of The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 is okay in that. He's pretty good in The Book of Eli. I like that one because it's a post-apocalyptic film.
Yeah.
I enjoy that one.
Have you seen Fences? That was different for him.
Is it different on a level of there's fancy elements and things are going pew pew, or is it different? Because the problem is with Denzel Washington, everything he does is quite grounded. Everything he does is quite real to life. Shit like that could happen. Now, I have problems with those films that I can't get into them because day-to-day life for me is not fun. Day-to-day life is day-to-day life. And for me to watch a film, I have to have fun. So it has to take me out of day-to-day life. You know
Okay,
what I
I'll take that back. Don't watch Fences.
Yeah.
Fuck off, Rick. You know his shit. Why? I mean, DiCaprio, yeah, he's done some good films, but you know what I mean? Again, nothing that I would gravitate to. Nothing. Maybe oh shit, we talked about it last night as well. What's the one where he can enter dreams?
Inception.
Inception's okay, but I just don't like his style of acting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just I'm a big fan of Departed, so I think I'd have to take DiCaprio.
Yeah, it was the Departed got talked about last night, as everyone seemed to like that. The other one was Django Unchained. Now, I'm a huge Django fan. I like all the Django films, especially the stuff with Franco Nero, the earlier stuff. And for me, what Tarantino did with Django Unchained, it was terrible. I just didn't like it for the fact that every character was played by a massive actor, and it just took me out of the fact of who Django was and what Django is. You know what I mean? It was just too star-studded. The original Django, you know what I mean? They are traditional spaghetti westerns. The dirty, the gritty, the grimy. They're a little bit cheesy in places, but they're loads of fun. You know what I mean? Django Unchained just took me out of it. It just didn't feel like a Django film.
You just became Sasha's best friend. Sasha hates Quentin Tarantino.
That's the film. I always forget that film even exists.
Yeah. And so you should. Yeah, it's fucking awful. And on that note, again, we've talked about Indiana Jones clones, or Indiana clones, as I like to call it. And there's been loads of them, and this one is one of the better ones. This again has a real big feel of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It has a real big feel of the Alan Quatermain films. Again, it has a big feel of Romance in the Stone. If you took all those three films and mixed them up, you would definitely get the Nico Masterakis film, Bloodstone.
Okay, I know that movie.
Absolutely phenomenal. It looks amazing. It was filmed brilliantly. The score is fantastic. And again, this was a lowish budget film for the time, but the acting is very good in it. It's shot in India, and I think certain areas that were shot in India have definitely been used in other films the same as this. The basic story starts around the Bloodstone. The beginning of the film shows you a funeral procession of an Indian princess that's died too young. The entire sort of empire has come out to a funeral, and a father pretty much says on a death pyre that anyone that tries to take the stone of his daughter, the Bloodstone, this big ruby, will be struck down, will be given a whole life of bad luck. Anyone that takes it, and then sort of skip to sort of previous the newer times. It's sort of like mid-80s when this is so-called filmed, and you believe there's been a heist going on. You don't get to see the heist, but there's been a heist, and the Bloodstones, it's gone missing, and it sort of gets passed from the person that's stolen it into someone else, which is this couple up here, who are two tourists in India that are doing a bit of business. And unbeknown to them, they've got the Bloodstone, but they end up passing the Bloodstone on to this gentleman here, who's like the band of like an Indian rebel gang, who opposes what the entire sort of this dynasty was trying to do with the Bloodstone. So it's like a bit of a trilogy thing. It's like a big circle going on between all three of them. They're trying to get the Bloodstone back to the Indian government. But hot on the heels is another faction. These guys up here, they want the Bloodstone for the sort of own personal things. they believe if they get the Bloodstone, the power's going to go to them. To be fair, it screams Temple of Doom. I mean, there's one section in it where they're on a rope bridge and they're sort of trapped at either end, and the same pretty much thing happens. The bridge collapses, they come down into the river. It just screams Temple of Doom, and then you get other bits that just scream Romance in the Stone. So it took a lot of those films and mashed it up, but instead of doing it badly or cheaply, it does it extremely well. The Indian guy, I can never think of his name, and even when I do know it, I can never pronounce it. It's Rajasthanith. He was an Indian actor, but also a stunt car driver. He's great in this. He's really good. He does all his own stunts in this as well as. And again, there's sort of like a nice comedic element to it. In a way, there's like a bumbling police detective that's also looking for the stone, and he's basically just a bumbling fool. Nothing he does. It's just sheer good luck. There's no skill involved in what he's done, and that adds a little nice comedic element to it as well as. But it's an all-around film if you like the sort of Indiana Jones films, or if you like the Romance in the Stone stuff, or if you like the King Solomon films, then check Bloodstone out. It's loads and loads and loads of fun. Again, there's not many actors that you'd recognise in it. I think this was an Omega film. Yeah, Omega Entertainment. Now they didn't do a great deal, and you're surprised the budget on it. Really, they get a lot out of the money. The film looks extremely good. It looks as good. It's shot as good as King Solomon's Mines, and I like King Solomon's Mines. It's a nice film, but this is probably better than that. It holds up better. The transfer on it is phenomenally. It looks really, really good, and it's only a Blu-ray. It's only 1080p, so it's not even got a 2K scan, and it looks as good as anything you'll see. Again, artwork is really, really good on it. So if you do see this in the Arrow sale, you may see it with its alternative artwork, which was artwork by Graham Humphreys, which I love Graham Humphreys. But the artwork that he did for it doesn't really sort of sum the film up. It doesn't really tell you much about what's going on with it. As good as the artwork is, you know what I mean? It's a phenomenal piece. I think the original artwork tells you way more. And I would say to anybody that is a lover of those kind of films, check Bloodstone out. It is tons of fun. It's classified as a 15. I wouldn't say it's a 15. I would say it's more PG lined. So the family could sit down and watch this. There's no sort of like, you know what I mean? There's a side boob shot. You know what I mean? There's no full frontal nudity. There's no over the top violence. You know what I mean? It's no worse than Indiana Jones or anything like that. To be fair, Temple of Doom is probably more graphic than this is. So yeah, if you've never seen Bloodstone and you're a fan of those kind of films, definitely check it out. It's bags of fun.
The director's done a lot of really solid movies.
Yeah, well, the thing with him in this, the thing is as well in this, because he oversaw the restoration of this one, there's also Greek subtitles been added to it, which I'd never seen that before in any release. That he decided they wanted to put his native tongue on there.
It'll be a big seller in Greece because he did it.
Yeah, and not only was he producer on this, he was producer, he was executive producer, he was writer, editor, script writer, and something else. The only thing he didn't do was direct it. Somebody else directed it, but he did everything else. And it does scream his films, you know what I mean? I do like him. But it's great. Check Bloodstone out.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's solid.
What do you mean optional Greek subtitles? Or are they
yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my next one is not that unknown, but I went with a classic, Cinema Paradiso.
Cool.
A lot of people know this, I think. I mean, Italian, of course. 1986. Was it? Every film I'm choosing is from 1986, aside from
Yeah.
the last one. But it's another one from 1986. I can only watch the director's cut. The theatrical version is 40 minutes shorter, and it ruins the pacing. It's a love letter to Cinema Paradiso, of course, Cinema Paradise. Beautiful score by Ennio Morricone.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I think one of his best, personally. This one's Arrow Academy, not Arrow Video. Another one. It does include both versions of the film, but I having seen the director's cut, I just can't. It's hard to imagine seeing the film any other way. Love letter to cinema. It's full of Italian isms. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a word. Yeah, a lot of heart, a lot of love, a lot of passion. It's funny, it's romantic, it's sad, it's kind of everything.
What's the basic plot of it?
It's about a man who's looking back on his life, reminiscing, and the film begins with him as an older man, and the whole film is a flashback
Okay.
to him as a boy. You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't
No,
seen it. No.
I've not seen it. No.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those very highly regarded.
That's why we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's highly regarded. It's not the trash we watch.
A celebration of youth. There you go. A celebration of youth. I can't read that backwards. What does it say? Youth.
Did you ever see a movie called Big Fish? Tim Burton.
I know the film. I know the film. I've never seen it.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Is it similar to that, where it's telling this man's life story, looking backward?
Yeah, and as much as that, yeah. This is maybe more romantic.
Okay.
This is a very romantic film. Kylie Minogue's favorite film. Fun fact.
Okay.
Cool. I'll have to check it out then if Kyla likes it. You know what I mean?
I don't know why I know that, but I do.
It's a good fact.
That's a Sasha fact.
Kyla Minogue's favourite film.
Sorry?
Kyla Minogue's favourite film. That's great.
Yeah,
One of the
and it's
sexiest women
immaculate.
alive.
This is immaculate. The way it looks, it's perfect in this transfer. I think it's there's a 4K version of it, but this is not 4K. This is perfect. It's a long film. I think it's 2 hours the short version is 2 hours. The longer version is 174 minutes. So just 6 minutes under 3 hours, I think.
That's lost my attention span straight away.
And
I'm struggling over 100 minutes.
oh, plus it's in Italian, of course.
So you've got to read shit.
I don't know.
Oh
I don't know if that's something to. I have no issue. My favorite films are foreign films anyway, but not everyone can deal with subtitles. I don't get that. Better than having it dubbed.
Yeah.
Having it dubbed takes me out of the.
I like to have both. I like to have both options, dubbed and otherwise.
The dubbing is rarely. I think dubbing's rarely done correctly.
Yeah,
almost
if dubbing's
never.
done well, it's okay.
Yeah, almost never is it done. But it just depends on like what kind of movie it is. Like I mentioned this one earlier. Of course, dig it out. This movie is not dialogue heavy, so the subtitles don't. I don't think they'd bother anybody. But if a movie is like super, like a comedy, in being dubbed with a lot of dialogue, that can be problematic, or not being dubbed. Let's put it that way, because you have to watch the comedy and read at the same time.
There's a scene in this film in the classroom. He's at school, and the teacher asks the boy, someone else, I think, what's 2 + 2, and he says 9. He gives the wrong answer. The teacher smacks his head against the blackboard. It's that would be frowned upon. But
Yeah, I know
It's-
you're a big fan of violence against children. I see.
oh yeah, children fine, just not animals.
Not animals. Can't be animals. Kids, no
No.
problem. All right.
You got to learn,
Yeah, you got to learn. I understand. So Kylie Minogue's favorite movie to Lorena Bobbitt's favorite movie, Audition,
Oh,
1999. These Brits don't even know who I'm talking about. Rated R, amazingly. Takashi Miike. A widower takes an offer to screen girls for a special audition arranged for him by a friend to find him a new wife after his wife dies. The one he picks is not who she appears to be at all. I don't really agree with that synopsis to the extent of the movie. I guess they try to leave. I don't think people even understand this movie, but basically the tagline should be "Love Hurts" for this one. It's a pretty solid release. You got interviews with all the actors and the director. I don't remember if there was a making of or not, but there is good interviews with all the It's an all Japanese cast. Basically, this guy's wife dies, and his best friend is he's a man of means, and his best friend is a TV producer, I believe. And he says, "Well, listen, he's having trouble meeting girls. We'll have this audition, and any girl would love to be married to you. You got money, and you're a great guy, and all this stuff, and we'll stage the audition, and the one you pick won't get the audition. Obviously, we'll tell her that, and you can just take her out on a date. The innocent enough, but he's going to waste all these girls' time, and it's kind of bizarre, the audition process. And there's girls like acting like they're cheerleaders, and it's just a very, again, I don't like to glad hand a foreign film just because it's foreign. There's 99% of Japanese films I have no interest in ever seeing again. This one stands out. It's quality. It's just artsy enough. Japanese films tend to be very artsy. This is just artsy enough to be a Japanese film, but not so artsy that it's obnoxious. It's a very brutal story. Basically, he picks this girl. She has all the right answers, and he takes her out. They have a good time. They spend time together. They get romantically involved, and then he, doesn't call her right away. He just he's trying to play it cool. And she believes that he just kind of used her for sex. And it turns out she's obviously got a very dark past, and she's got a history of violence. And she believes that they had something, she believes he was just being a womanizer. She finds out the audition's fake and all that stuff, and takes her revenge on him. That's the story. It's very well done. It's this is the Japanese horror film that put Japanese horror films on the map. It's a great release. 25 years old in 2024. So I imagine we'll probably get a 4K of it. I hope they do a documentary, stuff like that, or give me a reason to buy an upgrade. But yeah, I've always loved this movie. It's a great Valentine's Day watch. And it's a must own. You can get this cheap during the sale. There is reverse art, which I don't, not a big fan of this reverse art. Matthew Griffin.
Yeah, that's the one you generally see over here. It isn't a good piece.
The original, much better, I find. But yeah, like I said, I don't have a lot to say about it. I don't know how obscure it is. Maybe it's obscure. Is it obscure to us? We're movie freaks. The people watching this, maybe not. But 1999, I can't imagine many people have seen it, but who knows? But yeah, it's a good release. I highly recommend it. It's gory. It's disturbing as hell. It's intense. So if you can't handle that kind of stuff, might want to leave this one alone. That's my second one here.
Good pick.
Some of these I kind of had to leave off because I've talked about them at length on other streams. Eaten Alive is an era release I love, but god damn it,
fantastic release. Yeah,
I've banged on that tree long enough. I got all the fruit out of it.
Is there a scene involving piano wire in Audition?
Yes.
That's
Yep.
that film.
Yep,
Oh, I thought
that's
so.
this.
Okay.
Like I said, it should be the tagline should be "Love Hurts."
Yeah.
All right. Rick Walrus. We have a Leo and Denzel Knight. When my room's finished, pal. Oh yeah, I'm sure Tony will have an illness that night and not be able to make
Yeah.
it.
I'll be there with bells on, mate.
Gears of War figures and customs. Hey man,
Hey,
good to see you here. That's
That's my
you're
friend.
Sasha's buddy.
Yeah.
Scolder, Cinema Paradiso more romantic than necromantic. I'm sure Sasha does not know what necromantic is.
I unfortunately do. I saw something I want to see, but
It's disgusting. It's trash.
Yeah.
I
a
think.
friend of mine was showing it to him, and he said, "Make it stop, stop screen sharing." I saw. Yeah, I just want to not remember that. He's still apologizing for having me see that.
Well, so violence being gratuitous. Anything if you it's I like a violent film just as much as the next guy, but if it's going to be gratuitous and we're just doing it for gratuitous sake, there's no point in it. This movie is extremely violent, but it's not gratuitous. She feels she's wronged here, and you can kind of see her point of view in this. She's got like a bad history, and this she's trying to change her ways, and then it's happening again, and she decides to take revenge. So again, like I said, it is violent, it is disturbing, but she feels justified in her cause, obviously.
Yeah.
Holland's a fan of that movie. Cool. Wild Ranger saying he just loves the slap. Takes a chance. Audition is not a good idea for date film. I think it is. See, that's a Valentine's Day watch for me. There's another Arrow Academy release, After Midnight. That's a good Valentine's Day watch. Do you have that movie, Sasha? After Midnight?
No, I don't.
It's an independent Florida director that made it. It's a romance, a horror type thing, light on the gore. But Alan would have pulled that if he was on the stream. But Alan did a review on it. You check out Alan's channel, Pops Movie Dungeon, After Midnight review. It's a good review, but yeah, I think it's a great date film. They go on dates. They're dating. Both parties know that things can go bad. Wild Wrangler agrees with me that it's a great date film. Scalder's audition remain. I don't know. I've never seen Cinema Paradiso. Wild Wrangler, Rob Zombie said audition creeped him out because his ex. I'm sure Rob Zombie's girlfriend's previous. I'm sure he's had some interesting ones.
Yes, most definitely.
Some that have been institutionalized. Sean, I actually couldn't revisit Audition for a long time because of certain scenes. After seeing it again, I realized it wasn't that bad at all, and it just got me mentally and lingered with me. Yeah, anytime you're dealing with the Achilles tendon, it's going to disturb some people.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, Scott. There's nothing like that in Audition. I mean, there is some, but it's nothing gratuitous. Sean, also when she uses the razor wire, makes noises. Oh yeah, she makes those noises. Yeah, like I said, you can feel like I kind of feel for her. You understand the character. Let's put it that way. All right, round this thing out.
Okay, man. So my final one. I've talked about this film before, but not in major terms. It's a film from George Romero. It's the most craziest Romero film you'll ever see. It's not a straight up Romero film as you think as a Romero film, but it is loads and loads of fun. There is some kind of point to it, but I can never work out what the hell it is. You know what I mean? And I've tried multiple times to try and fathom the film out, and it just doesn't. It doesn't scream anything to me. But it is bags of fun if you take it at face value, and that is George A. Romero's Night Riders. this is the most weirdest concept for a film you'll ever come across. So the opener of the film, you really get into the thinking that this is set in the Knights of, this is set in the realms of Camelot and the Knights of the Round Table. The opening of the film, you really believe you're looking at King Arthur. He's bathing nude. He's got Guinevere with him. She's swimming around in the water nude. So you're thinking, right, okay, I'm getting straight into the court of Camelot here. I'm getting into medieval times. And turns out you're not in any way, shape, or form. And what these guys actually are, they are like a traveling sideshow that dress as sort of battling knights, but ride motorcycles. And basically, it's like a circus. It's basically a circus. But the guys that are trooping around with this circus and sideshow truly believe that what they are doing is part of being a knight, and they truly believe that they're in the court of Camelot. I think there's a lot of illicit drugs going around within the scene, and you know what I mean. There's a lot of old hippies and stoners and stuff like that with it. And it's about them moving from town to town to town and putting on the show that they put on and living the life the way they live it on the road until a big time producer comes in. And this guy really thinks that he can take what they do and make a TV show out of it. And he's offering them good money. And a lot of half the troop wants to go with him. But the hardcore and the guy that plays King Arthur, he decides, no, he wants to stick to his roots. He wants to carry on doing what they're doing, even though there's no money in it. He believes that this is the better thing to do. And at one point he says that, listen, you know what I mean? A kid comes up to him for an autograph and he says, listen, kid, I know my picture's in that magazine. I never asked for it to be in the magazine. I don't want to be Evel Knievel or Eddie Kidd. Those guys want to be famous for being famous sake. I don't want that, so I'm not going to sign your photograph. I'm very sorry. And just leaves. So you really believe in that this guy believes in the way they're living and the ethos of what they're doing. And the story all just evolves around that. And you sort of get the sort of King Arthur sort of logic and lore of it within the film. It's sort of there on the fringes of the film. It never goes in depth. But it goes all the way to the end, and it pretty much ends if you know the story of King Arthur, and if you've ever watched any of those films, you know what happens to Arthur at the end. This finishes the same way, you know what I mean? It's the same path that everything leads on. And the weird thing about this was filmed straight after Dawn of the Dead, and 2/3 of the cast of Dawn of the Dead are in this film. Pretty much. The main character in this is Ed Harris. Ed Harris takes the part of King Arthur. He's the only one that's not in Dawn of the Dead. And then the actors from within Dawn of the Dead, every single one of them's in this. I can't think of the girl's name that's in it. You'd know her as well. She was in some of the Star Trek episodes, the later stuff, and I can't think what her name is now. No, I can't think what her name is. Stephen King pops up in this.
Naturally.
Yeah. As like a bit of a sideshow character who's like a bit type, plays a drunken guy who's taking the piss out of what they're doing. But the sort of like the character that plays Morgan in this, or Morgana as it should be, but they just sort of changed the name round, is Tom Savini. Tom Savini has a major role in this film. He's in it all the way through.
That sounds right.
One of the main guys in it, and he's actually really, really good in it. And for most of the actual bike riding scenes, it's definitely Tom Savini on the bike. You can tell on the other ones. Yeah, you can tell on some of the other ones they've got stunt doubles in riding for them. Tom Savini rides that bike all the way through. You know what I mean? It never cuts away from him. The camera's on him all the time. And it's really good. Does it make much sense? No, I can't sort of get my head round where it's actually leading or what it's actually trying to tell you, other than, you know what I mean? These are sideshow. It's a sideshow circus, basically. Well, it's a touring sideshow circus with the elements of King Arthur and the Knights of Camelot. It's the way they live their lives. The story pans out exactly the same way. It finishes the same way, but it's just dudes on motorbikes dressed as knights. For me, watching these kind of films, I like short films. You know me, 89 minutes to 100, just over 100 minutes. I'm pretty much done. This is like, it's a really long, it's like 147 minutes of motorcycles just going round and round and round. But it's done extremely well and it's filmed extremely well. It's a great transfer. It looks really good. This is one of the old, I mean, you won't be finding this now. This is well long gone now. If you want a copy of this from Arrow now, it's a second-hand market to get this. It'll probably set you back anything between sort of £20 and £30 for a copy of this now. But this is one of the older releases where you get the DVD Blu-ray combo. They don't really do that anymore. This was all the early release stuff. Never had a re-release on a single Blu-ray like a lot of the other stuff did. This release came out and that was that, and then it went OOP. So now it just goes stupid. I think did Shout Factory put this out as well? I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not believe it or not, I'm not familiar with that movie.
Yeah, I'm
sure there may be a few people on the planet that are familiar with that movie. The cast that made it, and the very few people that run in Tony circles. And I like the part where you're like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm like, does any of that stuff behind you make a lot of sense? I mean, it belongs there.
But most of the stuff, I could sort of put my own sort of spin on it, my own perception of what's it. This, you don't know why. There's no real explanation why they think they are knights, or why they're even doing it on fucking motorcycles. Why they're not doing it on horses? You know what I mean? I have no idea. It doesn't explain the whole concept of motorcycles and dressing like a knight and jousting and battling like they're doing, other than it seems to be pulling loads of sort of like redneck Americans into watching them. Everyone's beer swilling and singing and dancing while they're watching it, and like turning out in the thousands to watch them. And these guys are just turning up on fields in the middle of nowhere and laying gravel down and setting the thing up. It looks like a Renaissance fair when it first comes on. You know what I mean? The whole thing they've got set up, it just looks like a Renaissance fair. And then these guys start beating shit out of each other with medieval weapons while on motorbikes. It's bizarre.
That sounds very much like it would be something we'd be into over here.
Yeah,
they still have carnival motorcycle, attractions. They still do that. They don't wear chainmail and hit each other with the swords and stuff, but they do like motorcycle stunts where they drive in a dome, or like over and over again and stuff like that. So they still do that today.
Yeah, see, we've very rarely had stuff like that over in the UK.
You guys haven't lived over there.
No,
I bet they have them at the gypsy camps. They have motorcycle carnival.
Yeah, ones they probably stole from somewhere else.
Every bike is stolen.
Yeah, all serial numbers have been ground off.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if you can find it on streaming, if you can pick it up cheap, which is hard now, it's quite an expensive title to pick up now, second-hand market. Check it out. You know what I mean? It may be a Romero film that most people haven't seen. It's definitely not a Romero film as you think of as a Romero film. It's something completely different out of his catalogue of titles. It is fun. It is entertaining. It's very well done. It looks extremely good. But as the front says, George A. Romero's Knight Riders, the games, the romance, the spirit, Camelot is a state of mind. And that pretty much sums it up, is that their state of mind is the sort of medieval times of Camelot, but yeah, on Yamaha motorbikes. It's a good flick. It's a weird one, but it's definitely a good flick.
I think the first part is definitely true. It's a weird one.
Oh,
I remember you got that in.
yeah.
I remember you got a deal on it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I found it really cheap.
Yeah.
I agree with the first part, as Morgan Freeman said.
Yeah. Oh, and then 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just went through a few different choices for my last one, and when you said about the combining of a DVD, I thought I'll change my mind again. Spur of the moment, but Brian De Palma's Obsession.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but this is pure Hitchcock homage.
I have not seen that. I like
I've
Brian De
not seen
Palma
it.
stuff.
1978, I think it was. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a love letter to Hitchcock without question. It's actually heavily inspired by Vertigo, obviously. There's no two ways about that. This is weird. They've got the double arrow. Don't do this anymore.
Mm.
This is an older one where they with these mirror windows.
Oh, window case.
Window editions.
And the book is in here. I think is it based on a book?
Yeah.
It's actually the original book that the film's based on. It's a thriller. It's quite typical for Brian De Palma, I suppose.
Sex
A lot of his traits are in here. The split screen that he loves so much, and used so much in Carrie and Blowout and all his films. It's in here too. Very sort of a lot of the things you associate with Brian De Palma, they can all be found in here.
Trannies.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. You remember Michael Caine played a tranny in Brian De Palma movie.
Oh, Dressed to Kill.
Dressed to Kill. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not the case here. It stars the man who played Uncle Ben in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
I know that actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in it. It's called Obsession. It's about a man who's obsessed with a woman.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
it checks out.
It's got reversible artwork. I didn't know that. Yeah, I haven't looked. It's got 4.
Yeah, there's 4. There'll be 4 covers in those window box sets.
Like I said, yeah, this is not their usual style these days.
Yeah, they were the first ones they released.
Those are pretty rare
from DVD.
Those window editions.
Yeah. The locations in this film. Well, it's Brian De Palma. I've always noticed. I mean, look at the Untouchables and Carlito's Way. The environments are characters in the films themselves. The locations are. He makes great use of the landscapes in this film. Very dominant and prominent. But it's a romantic film, I suppose you could say. At heart. The actress in this film, I forget her name. I've only ever seen in one other film, and it was a medical film with Michael Douglas called Coma, I think. It's the only other film I've seen her. It's not a very well known. It's not up there with Scarface for Brian De Palma, but it's a quality production. Shot by Milos Zygmunt, who shot Deliverance and The Deer Hunter, and he's worked with him before.
Yeah.
One of his more classic films, I suppose, in quotation marks.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
It's not sleazy like Brian De Palma's known for in the best way.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Body double.
It doesn't have any of those elements. It's more traditional, I suppose. Yeah.
I have to check that out.
Love will scare the life out of you is the tagline.
That sounds like De Palma, for sure.
Yeah.
I was going to go with.
It's not what I've seen.
I was going to talk about Buckaroo Banzai, but then I went with this.
Well, I was on the fence. I was on the fence to pull Buckaroo Banzai. It's a big cult classic. It's a great film. Another one that's really hard to get hold of now. It's well out of print. It goes for
Cliff Robertson, that's right.
Money.
Yeah, I got it when it first came out. And there's a it got released by, I think, Shout Factory in America, but Inferior. I know there's a. It doesn't have the same extra features.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't. I chose Obsession for my last pick.
Right on.
Yeah, again, a film I've not seen.
It's not escapism, so I don't know how you.
Yeah, deal with it.
You basically want escapism every time.
Yeah, I can't deal with films that don't take me out of modern life or society as itself. I have no interest. It's weird, really. But...
Well, on that note, my number one. This is not only my number one Arrow release. It's one of my favorite movies ever, and it is just right up Tony's alley. It's very, very. It's like outer space and aliens and all kinds of shit like that. It's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Now, this is a newer release from Arrow, but this limited edition is still available. It's a UK release. It's not a popular Arrow release. And I can understand why. For most people, it's not very rewatchable. To me, it's very rewatchable. This movie gets better and better every year for me. Like I said, 1986, John McNaughton. Michael Rooker is the star in this. Been a lot of stuff. Everybody knows Michael Rooker. Arriving in Chicago, Henry moves in with an ex-con acquaintance named Otis and starts schooling him in the ways of being a serial killer, essentially. It's one of the most effective movies that you'll ever see, in my opinion. This is a great Arrow release. This is the definitive release for the movie. Basically, what it is this Henry character is a serial killer, obviously, and he just he travels. He's a traveling serial killer. He'll go to Chicago for a while, kill people random ways, and then move on to the next one. He's totally unempathetic, black-eyed. He's got the shark eyes. It's a compulsion for him, and he doesn't have any emotions whatsoever. It's a very gritty and grimy movie, very dark. I can totally understand people not wanting to see it or rewatch it, but it is not a horror movie at all. It's a crime movie. It depicts, the most heinous events. It's basically a study on the mind of a serial killer. Like I said, the best word I could use for it's effective. Like I said, this was a great Arrow release. You absolutely have to get the limited edition, not the standard edition, because the standard edition has a fraction of the bonus features. This is really loaded. There's multiple documentaries in this, interviews with anybody you would want to hear from, including Michael Rooker. It's a fantastic release. If you can't afford this release or it becomes OOP, a good alternative would be the Dark Sky release on Blu-ray, the 20th. Or what, I forget what the anniversary it is on that, but maybe it was the 20th anniversary. But that's the release to get, not the standard release of this. The standard release of this is terrible by comparison. Even that older Blu-ray has more features, but this has got all the bells and whistles, posters and books and stuff. I've never even looked at any of this stuff, but the bonus features are great. This is a great release. I don't really have much to say about it. If you have not seen Henry, whether you're into horror or not, like I said, it's more of even a mockumentary than a horror movie. It's a one of one, in my opinion. There's no the closest to this would be like an American Psycho, but there's absolutely no comedy whatsoever in this. It's a very dark and very real type movie, and like I said, effective. That's the only word for it. We've already run into the 2-hour range. I've gushed about this movie many times, but like I said, that's not a Tony movie. It's no fun whatsoever.
I mean, to be fair, I mean the kind of stuff we've talked about. I don't know if Arrow doesn't like doing these kind of films anymore because they think they don't sell or they won't be big sellers, and they think putting things like that out, like the big box sets, the more big hitting titles, is a better business sense for them. I suppose it is, But sadly, I don't think we'll see like the 5 things that I've shown. I think sadly we won't see a lot of that stuff coming out from Arrow anymore because it's not business sense to do it. And I get it. It makes a business sense the way they're going now. And don't get me wrong, the stuff that they are putting out now and the stuff that is going to be coming out in the future, man, I love it. You know what I mean? The box of Scream set that they put out was fucking fantastic. That's 5 amazing films in that box set.
The Empire Scream set.
Yeah. The Conan Chronicles that comes out January, or is it February? It comes out.
January,
Man alive! Yeah, when they dropped that one, you know what I mean? I was creaming myself. It's amazing to get both Conan films in a set like that. But these little sort of less known films, I don't think are getting much love from a lot of people anymore. And it's a shame because Arrow did it really, really well. But I suppose at the end of the day, it makes business sense just to do the bigger titles that more people know because they'll sell more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just goes to show you, like, this comes out and this is a critically acclaimed, genre, classic. It's got a huge cult following. It didn't sell. It didn't sell. It's still available, this limited edition. And that should tell you that, they're going, well, that's not good business to put out these anymore. Let's put out more. They put out another John McNaughton film called, it's called Wild Things.
Yeah.
That sold like crazy. But this movie's far superior and it didn't sell at all. So, I mean, like I said, like you were saying, it's business. And this kind of stuff is going to go by the wayside, unfortunately. And the fact that this didn't sell is kind of why I put it in. And I'm hoping that more people will see it, take a chance on it, revisit it. Maybe I can totally see watching this the first time and not even liking it because it's so unpleasant. But if you really get into it and you watch it a second time and you understand what it is, and like I said, I get a lot out of that movie. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
All right, let's catch up with the chat and get out of here.
What does Wild Things have that film doesn't have? Why would that one? I wonder.
I would guess the younger, way more attractive cast than that. A lot more fun story to watch.
Yeah.
The killer. The spoiler alert: the killer wins in Henry. And the ending is just brutal. It's just I would say people would find it heartbreaking, the ending. The way it all plays out and everything, and he's just on his way to another town to start all over again. All right, let's catch up with the chat and get out of here. Sean saying I had no idea the AV Arrow Video released Knight Riders. Right on.
Yep.
Joe Joker. Yeah, maybe it does. Wild Wrangler, I need to see Knight Riders.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to see it once. It's
old motorcycle movie. Does Tom Savini get to do his tumbling that he likes to do in it?
Yep.
Naturally. Every time.
Of course it is. Yep.
Russell liked it.
If you're enjoying it there, the length shouldn't really. You shouldn't notice the length.
Yeah, exactly. What do they say? No good movie is too long. No bad movie is too short, or whatever. But yeah, I agree with you. Length is a problem. I hate a movie that's long just to be long. But nobody complains about the length of, let's say, a Scorsese movie. With the exception of one, the Irishman.
Well, there's a film called Jerry. It's Matt Damon and Casey Affleck. That's a short film, but it feels like it's 3 days.
Yeah, very heavy.
It's just them walking. Then they walk and they walk and they don't talk. They just walk.
Yeah. Well, that movie, The Witch, I was telling you about, Ari Aster or Robert Eggers.
Oh yes.
It's about 90 minutes in that range. It feels like it's 2.5 hours. It's just so heavy. It is just, so dark and bleak.
Yeah.
Jimbo, what's going on, man? Henry is a better sci-fi movie than Star Wars. There you go. If only it was sci-fi. Yeah. Jimbo, I took your advice, Brad, and bought the Air UK for the sale, much cheaper prices. In the year it picked up up to 30 discs. Wow, that's great. But yeah,
Yeah.
you really can save if you go to the Arrow UK side, and you can get a lot of back titles very cheap.
Yeah, I mean,
Solders
it's not,
answering your
it's not that
question,
long
Sasha.
back. Yeah, sex sells.
No, I knew the answer. I was,
Yeah. Joe Joker. Yep. There's plenty of nudity in this, but no one's alive and nude at the same time. So may not have the same vibes for you there. Anyway, I appreciate you guys doing this, and like I said, it's Tony's idea, and it was just a good idea and a good one to do. And I'm sure eventually there'll probably be a part 2 because we've all got tons of Arrow releases. Maybe Sean will come back.
And I've got some recommendations out of this, so that's good.
Yeah, Henry, of course.
Yeah.
You can go right out and order this one, Sasha. I'm sure. It's like I'm never gonna watch that ever.
No, it sounds too. How do you feel when that film ends? What's your state of mind?
You're gonna be slimy and depressed. It's very dark. It's bleak, very bleak. I would not recommend that movie.
No.
As much as I love it, I still wouldn't recommend it. It's very, very. It has its reputation for a reason.
When I watched Joker, I had to watch Jay and Silent Bob reboot afterwards because I needed to laugh. I wanted to laugh.
Joker is lighthearted by comparison to Henry. Joker is like for little kids by comparison to Henry. So that should, in my opinion, much darker.
Yeah.
But it's gone on 2 hours, man. I'm gonna hit the end button.
Brad, thank you very much, mate, for setting it up. Sasha, thank you very much for joining us, mate.
No, thanks for having me.
No, it's nice just to see a few insights of weird stuff that's in people's collections.
Get something different, some different takes.
Yeah, different recommendations. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Finding out different stuff that we've not got or we didn't know that was available by Arrow Video. And you could do this for any company, I think, but I think Arrow lends itself quite well to it.
They have so many titles, and they have such a broad. They do action, horror, comedy, drama, you name it, and then art house with the Arrow Academy stuff. Yeah. So,
and they're not an especially old company. They haven't been going for a decade, have they? Oh.
DVD stuff started 2009. I can't think what the first couple of DVDs they put out, and then they had a bit of a brand change, and they changed the logo and stepped it up a bit. And then if you see Arrow Video releases on DVD, they're always in a white box art. And then once they came into the Blu-rays, the window sets like you showed and some of the ones I've got in here. What they came out with first. I think there's 27 of those altogether.
Yeah.
And then they went into a little bit of a different way of doing things, and they started doing the clear Amray case, and then so they would do a limited edition, which would be booklet, slipcase, and then the DVD and film, DVD and Blu-ray. And then they went from those, stopped doing DVD Blu-ray combos, and then just started doing Blu-ray. And then they started pumping loads and loads of titles out, some back catalogue stuff, and then started doing some new stuff as well.
Yeah, but in a relatively short time period, they've put out
Blu-ray
a lot.
stuff. Yeah, the Blu-ray stuff essentially. Yeah, DVDs. I wouldn't like to say how many there are. Some films that have never seen light of day again on Blu-ray for them. One being the Linda Blair film. She plays like a vigilante. A sister gets killed, and while she's at uni or college, and I can't think what that film's called and whatever it is, we've never had a Blu-ray of it over here. So that particular Arrow DVD of it still goes for about 35 quid if you can find a copy of it. And there's still a couple of the Arrow DVDs that hold decent money because obviously they've lost the licensing and the rights to them, so they've never had Blu-ray releases. So some of the Arrow DVD stuff's really good. They're still packed full of features. You know what I mean? It's just as much features as what's on the Blu-ray stuff. But then when they stepped into Blu-ray game, that's when they upped their game massively, and they really went to town.
Yep, the effect, the bonus features, the artwork. The artwork I almost always go back to the original. I'm not usually the biggest fan of their artwork, but the scan, the bonus features, I like that they are all, they're all the same. Yeah. The uniformity of them is just a great company, and I'm glad that they're kind of back to doing. They had kind of a down year when they got bought, and now they're back doing great stuff. So.
Yeah, because I think Brad, me and you chatted about it when they got bought out. Everyone panicked a little bit, knowing what the company was that bought them out. Everyone was going, well, okay, this looks like the end. You know what I mean? How can a company like this take over a company like Arrow and do anything with it? And then for about 12 months, they stuttered along a little bit, and then boom, they just hit the mark again, and they're flying. So
yeah, they're doing great work again. They had a great year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna hit the button, and we will see you guys on the next thing.
Yeah, we'll see you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.